Getting everybody together and getting organized. Judy, our extraordinary pianist, for getting us going this morning. That's great. Love the music, and we love to welcome everybody who has gathered here this morning, and we also want to welcome everybody who is joining us online. And to our online friends, we want to say, if you are able, come and join us in person any Sunday. We will be here, and we'd love to see you. And at that, welcome. I'm David Hanson. This is Pine Valley Christian Church. And Connie is going to bring us some words of wisdom and share with us some things we need to know.
This is really dangerous today. I'm loaded for bear. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm mad. Anyway, having said that, welcome. Oh, I just lost what to say. I think we do have some announcements today. Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Whoa, it's on, folks, okay. Anyway, I know we do have some announcements today, and one is I believe that the clipboard for the Thanksgiving feast has been passed around or is being passed around. I know Carmen was walking around earlier. If you were not here, did not get a chance to sign up, why, please make sure that you see Carmen and sign up as to what you want to bring, and that is on the 20th, right? 22nd, 20th, when is it?
The Sunday before Thanksgiving.
The 24th. The Sunday before Thanksgiving, whatever that Sunday is.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from, really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, all right. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be eating. All righty, so anyway, we will have a speaker joining us this morning when she's here, and I'm stretching, but I got lots of material to cover, so that we can stretch all we want. And then next Sunday, or next Saturday, the 16th, is our everything, Natalie, everything, how many times have I typed this?
Yep, yeah, me too.
Everything to know about transgender, no.
Everything transgender around the time.
Everything transgender, everything
Yeah,
transgender.
something
Anyway,
like that.
the 20th is Transgender Remembrance Day, and there was quite an article in the newsletter this week. I hope you all read it because it explained what that day is about. It's a very, very solemn day because it's when we are supposed to pause and remember and keep in mind transgender people who have been killed. And Matthew Shepard comes to mind, for example, in Wyoming. And thank you, Paul. Wonderful. See, you all are helping me out. I appreciate it.
Here's your problem.
Thank you, Paul. So in this week's in Out magazine, which just came out this week, I try not to lose my phone, we have the back cover. And so this is our event.
It's really nice.
It's very nice, and Natalie is the one that designed the flyer, and Kurt he copied it, thanks to Natalie sending it to him and everything. And this goes out, they probably have, I bet they have 50 places where they distribute the newsletter now. So hopefully that will generate some attention. And whether it does or not, we will be here, and so on Saturday we gather at 3 o'clock. And Dr. Davison will be speaking to us. We'll take a short break, and then Natalie has put together a fabulous panel that will be talking about their experience as transgender or being allies to transgender people here in Wichita and Kansas. I think, in light of Tuesday, it's going to be a very emotional day. I think it will be. And then Sunday, the next day, Dr. Davison will be here to preach to us. And her topic is Holy Hospitality. So I will be sending reminders out this week to those of you who have volunteered to do different things next Saturday and let you know. And so thank you all for doing that, and I hope to see all your faces around here. Please wear your name badge next Saturday. We are hosting this, so it'd be nice if we identified ourselves with our name badges. And if you have a Pine Valley shirt, wear a Pine Valley shirt. It would be very nice to be able to identify ourselves so our guests would know who to talk to if they have a question or need that needs to be taken care of. And thank you very much to Diane and Barbara for handling the refreshments. We look forward to that. Anyway, having said all that, is there any other announcement? You have an announcement. Barbara has an announcement, and then I have some other information I want to share.
Okay. It was about 12 years ago that I went to my first song circle. And it's not really hyperbole to say it was a life-changing experience. It was just incredible. Well, I have one of those milestone events coming up, and my family and I are hosting Song Circle here on December 1st. going to be a busy day for some of you, but at 3 o'clock, 3 to 5, we'll be having Song Circle in the Grace Room, and you are all invited. Song Circle is not a performance, it's a sing-along, it's a hootenanny, and it's loads of fun. So, you're invited. December 1st. Yes. Oh. There will be snacks.
I want to know if there's any more. Okay, I have one question. Is there going to be wine? Is there going to be wine?
Wine?
Wine. W-I-N-E. Will there be wine?
We can make that happen, Barbara.
Okay, she said, okay, that was my big question, and water. Okay, that was my big question.
It's Barbara's birthday.
It's part of your birthday, right?
Well, yeah, it's a late birthday.
Late birthday, all right, okay. So, I have two things I would like to share, and since I have the microphone, I'm going to do this. We all know what happened Tuesday. And my phone's been blowing up, as I'm sure many of yours have, with messages and thoughts and reflections and so forth. I want to share two things with you, and just bear with me. One of them is a prayer from the Sojourners, which I will read in a minute. But this one came from, and this is from a litany for those not ready for healing. And it was written by Dr. Yolanda Pierce. It was shared with me by Mark McCormick, who some of you may know that name. Let us not rush to the language of healing before understanding the fullness of the injury and the depth of the wound. Let us not rush to offer a Band-Aid when the gaping wound requires surgery and complete reconstruction. Let us not offer false equivalencies, thereby diminishing the particular pain being felt in a particular circumstance in a particular historical moment. Let us not be afraid to sit with the ugliness, the messiness, and the pain that is life and community together. Let us not offer cliches to the grieving, those whose hearts are being torn asunder. And this prayer, I take Sojourners up at the university, and this obviously came out this week, but it was written obviously before the election. But it is so profound, and so I just would like to share this with you. Spirit God, we're so tired. We want to do justice, but the work feels endless, and the results look too small in our exhausted hands. We want to love mercy, but our enemies are relentless, and it feels like foolishness to prioritize gentleness in this unbelievably cruel world. We want to walk humbly, but self-promotion is seductive, and we are afraid that if we don't look after ourselves, no one else will. We want to be kind, but our anger feels insatiable. Spirit, in this never-ending wilderness, come to us and grant us grace. Grant us the courage to keep showing up to impossible battles, trusting that it is our commitment to faithfulness, not our obsession with results, will bring in your shalom. Grant us to the vulnerability to risk loving our difficult and complicated neighbor, rejecting the lie that some people are made more, and rejecting the lie that some people are made more in the image of God than others. Grant us the humility of a decentered but beloved self. As we continue to take the single step that is in front of us, keep us from becoming what we are called to transform. Protect us from using the empire's violence in our words, in our theology, in our activism, and in our policies for your kingdom of peace. Keep our anger from becoming meanness. Keep our sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep our hearts soft enough to keep breaking. Keep our outrage turned toward justice, not cruelty. Remind us that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. Keep us fiercely kind. Amen. I'll turn it over now.
Our gathering hymn today is Step by Step. If you would stand if you're able. I challenge you to sing it with meaning.
Please join me in the responsive call to worship. We gather today to give thanks to God for messengers and leaders who reveal truth to us that we have yet to comprehend. We welcome and give thanks for those who are able to connect the dots in ways that reveal a larger picture of life. We gather to give thanks for people who expand our ability to love and embolden our courage to love. We commit ourselves to expanding our capacity to receive new truth and work with others for the liberation of all. May the ever-present God give us strength to pull up systems of harm by their roots. May God keep us ever curious about the ways of life. Amen.
And if you please stand for the hymn of peace, singing for our lives.
We are gentle and we be
we're going to have a little talk about peace. And this song that we're going to do for you later on in the year was written in 1997, but the message of the song, though not pleasant to hear, has been centuries old. This song by John Bell, "If the War Goes On." If the war goes on and the children die of hunger, and the old men weep for the young men are no more, and the women learn how to dance without a partner, who will keep the score? If the war goes on and the truth is taken hostage, and new terrors lead to the need to euphemize, when the calls for peace are declared unpatriotic, who will expose the lies? If the war goes on and the daily bread is terror, and the voiceless poor take the road as refugees, when a nation's pride destines millions to be homeless, who will heed their pleas? If the war goes on and the rich increase their fortunes and the arms sales soar as new weapons are displayed, when a fertile field turns to no one's land tomorrow, who will approve such trade? If the war goes on, will we close the doors to heaven? If the war goes on, will we breach the gates of hell? If the war goes on, will we ever be forgiven? If the war goes on. Please read with me the peace prayer. O God, the sovereign,
Our nations, teach us how to nations of the world may find peace and justice. Show us what we ought to do. Show us also what are the limits of our power and what we cannot do. Recall us to our dignity as co-workers with you now and evermore.
Today's special music is Everything Possible by Holly Near. And as we sometimes do, Fred Small, sorry, looking at the wrong paper. As we sometimes do, I want to read you the chorus, just for you to be thinking about while we sing. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
I
been on a journey here. And as part of this journey, one of the things we have talked about doing is looking more at how we can participate and support and ally with the LGBTQIA2+ community. And I'll have to admit, I don't know of a bigger supporter in this city than the person who is speaking to us today. She gives her entire life to this community as owner and CEO of MCare Healthcare. She loses countless hours of sleep and struggles over how can she make Wichita a better place for the community that she serves, for those who are unaware of the community right now, and for the up and coming generation. So as most of us have had a really hard week, so has Amanda. But she is here today to tell us a little bit about allyship and what she sees with the community. Hopefully she's not giving away all of her secrets because she is a panel member next weekend. So I want her to leave a few things, you know, for people to still come next Saturday, but I would like to introduce Amanda McGoy, owner and CEO of MCare, and great family friend.
Is my mic hot? Is my mic hot? No? Yes? Yes? Okay, good. I can't hear anything because I'm losing my hearing, and also I forgot my hearing aids. So, you know. Yeah, you know, I'm good at doing all the things today. So forgive me. Please tell me if you guys can't hear what I'm saying. And then also I have a cold, so that's blocking my ears. But I am Amanda McGoy. I'm really, really thankful that y'all introduced us to your church and allowed us to come today. My 3 kiddos are with me today as well. And we are struggling with organized religion, as I'm sure a lot of people are at this point. And we're members of a Seventh-day Adventist church, but unfortunately it doesn't feel very safe anymore. And so I'm really here to give you guys like a big round of applause for doing this work, because it's so important that we as Christians meet people where they are and show them love and acceptance and kindness instead of judgment and disparity. So I do focus on healthcare, so I'm going to give you a couple of pieces about that, but we can very easily extrapolate that to the rest of the community and the rest of society and what's going on. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about MCare. So what we do at MCare is we primarily do LGBT and gender-affirming care. I started in gynecology several years ago as a nurse practitioner, and I realized that we were not doing this right. Like, we had so many people who were identifying as lesbian, or just women who weren't having sex with sperm-producing partners, who weren't coming in for routine screenings. And the reason why we were only seeing people whenever they were bleeding for months at a time, or really struggling with pelvic pain, was because they didn't feel safe in OB-GYN offices, because every time they came, they were told, well, why aren't you on birth control? Well, what are you going to do to try to not get pregnant? Well, how is that responsible for you to not want to have a baby and not be on birth control, right? We were never getting it. Like, the pieces weren't lining up. And unfortunately, you shouldn't have to go to your doctor's office and spill your guts about every single part of yourself if you don't feel safe. And folks didn't feel safe. So what we learned, or what I learned from that, is like, we just have to do better, right? So I started making a conscious effort at that time to ask people, who they're having sex with, who's your partners, how can we best support you in your journey of where your life is. And that really spurred into me getting a call one day from another ally in the community that had been doing transgender health care at Trust Women. And she said, I'm losing my collaborating physician. We had to have collaborating physicians as a nurse practitioner back then. And she said, I'm not going to be able to practice anymore, and I have about 400 trans patients that I don't know where else they're going to be safe. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Right? Like, we don't know what to do. And that's okay. It's okay to say we don't know what to do. But she decided that she was going to trust me with these folks, and it has been a journey ever since. So in 2020, I furloughed for a little while, and I just got it in my mind that I wanted to do something different. And so we started MCare. And we've been specializing in making sure that LGBT folks have a place for safe healthcare ever since. And so what are some of the reasons why LGBT patients are not seeking care? Other than, like we were saying about discrimination, of just not understanding, just asking stupid questions. Like, right, we ask stupid questions sometimes. We just don't get it, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things I hear now, especially about trans folks. Well, I don't get it. But do we have to? Do we have to get it, or do we have to meet people where they're at in order to show them love, to show them kindness, to be more Christ-like? We need to just come beside people. Even if we don't get it, we don't have to. So fear of stigma, discrimination, exposure to culturally incompetent care, that's a huge one. We know that a lot of times LGBT community members have a lower socioeconomic status. They're often uninsured. We know that the ACA made a huge difference with that. We have a lot of folks now that are able to be on insurance until they're 26, and that makes a difference. But unfortunately, a lot of folks are uninsured. We know that there are providers, even in this city, and organizations that refuse to care for LGBT folks. We know that there are providers who not only don't get it, but choose not to get it and choose to tell people, I'd just rather not see you than you come here. I remember one time I had somebody call and they asked if we do HIV PrEP. So HIV PrEP is a daily antiviral medication that folks take if they're at higher risk of developing HIV. And they said they called their primary care doctor's office and they asked about HIV PrEP, and they were told that they should get PrEP for their colonoscopy from their GI surgeon. Don't get it. We don't get it sometimes, right? Like we mess up, we say stupid stuff, but we try to do better, right? We try to do better. They did a study at WSU a few years ago, and these are, terminal degree folks that they were talking to, and they were asking them, where can somebody go to get LGBT safe and affirming healthcare in Wichita? And over 47% of people didn't know. So we have a lot of work to do. We need to make sure that people know about the resources that are available to them so that they can get care. Kansas is a special place, right? So Kansas currently has no laws protecting LGBT plus folks from discrimination in our state Affordable Care Act plans. So they can have carve-outs in those plans that don't cover gender-affirming care. We also have no laws banning insurance exclusions for gender-affirming health care on commercial plans as well. Nationwide, we know that there were many Trump-era rules that were enacted that limited access to care and to basic human rights for LGBT plus people. And we're here again, folks. How are we going to make sure that people are safe as we walk into this next era? as a result of not getting good health care, it's the same things as all of us would see, right? Like we have a higher likelihood of poor health outcomes. We have a higher likelihood of people coming in way after they should, after they've been bleeding for a long time or they've been struggling with pain for a long time. And then unfortunately, we find cancers later. We find that preventative health is missed. There are higher rates of substance abuse, including smoking in LGBT populations. There are a lot higher rates of intimate partner violence, which is huge. And there's also a lot higher rates of physical injury and death related to suicidality, right? This community struggles with feeling seen often, struggles with feeling heard, and then that's a lonely place to be, right? We've all felt how lonely feels, and it's not fun. It's a terrible place to be. So one thing that we do at MCare is we really focus on how our branding and our marketing and everything shows that we are safe, right? We've all been there in Pride Month in June where everything turns gay, right? But unfortunately, that is often performative. It's often like, oh, okay, I can go buy a Pride shirt now at Walmart or Target or even Dillon's, but a week ago, they had up Trump stuff. So we need to pay attention to those things. So making sure that we are inclusive, making sure that we are always showing that step forward. Making sure that our environment is welcoming, having signs, having the banners that show folks that, hello, we're here, we're going to support you, you can be who you are in this space. So one thing that really bothers me is that we do not have access to competent, inclusive care options in nursing and medical school programs, okay? It is an option if med students want to even talk about LGBT healthcare. It is an option if they want to shadow in a place that does LGBT healthcare. And I'll tell you, I used to have med school students pretty frequently, but the doc that was there that was really pushing folks to come and see me and be with me in my clinic is no longer there, and so that's dropped off in the last couple of years. Now, Kansas College of Osteopathic Medicine, KCOM, does a really good job. They invite me to speak every year. We talk on gender-affirming healthcare and making sure that people are safe and allyship. But it's a one-time thing. They've talked for years. My OB-GYN has talked for years about getting me on the board or getting on teaching faculty at KU, right? KCOM, KU, they're both trying, but there's a lot of pushback, right? So how do we stop the pushback or at least be able to stand strong against it, right? So we know that in therapy programs even, folks are not taught about how to be a safe and affirming person. I go and speak at Friends for their LMFT program every year as well, and there are people in those classes that raise their hand and say, like, but what if I don't believe in that and I don't want to be a therapist for those people? That's sad. That's unfortunate that we have people going into healthcare positions who are continuing to take this stance that I'm not going to care for all, right? We need to do better about that. So allyship, how do we extrapolate what I know from MCare and expand that out to the greater LGBT community in our daily work in allyship? So I have a good friend and mentor who told me for the first time, like, allyship is a verb. You don't get to just call yourself an ally. You don't get to slap a handy-dandy pin or sticker on and be like, I'm doing the work now. I got my pride shirt at Walmart and I am really feeling myself. No, we need to do better than that, right? We need to have a daily walk with people. And I think it really comes down to what I said before, like meeting people where they're at, right? You don't have to understand what each person's life is like, but you have to be able to meet them there in order for us to be able to ever have a chance, in my opinion, of sharing the gospel of Christ and being able to help them know that there are safe places for them. So allyship is a lot of different things. A lot of the time we think about how we spend our time and how we spend our money, okay? For example, my office manager, I love with my entire heart, but he just bought a Tesla. And I was like, oh my God, my brain almost exploded. I had to have a very hard conversation with him this morning. And he's like, I already feel guilty enough. I didn't think about it. And I said, but that's the problem. Okay? That's the problem. We have to think about it. We don't eat Chick-fil-A in my house. My daughter is a Chick-fil-A fan. But listen, I would choose to not have homophobia chicken if I can help it, right? There are little things that we can do with our own daily lives that help to show other people that we're safe, right? If you have a Tesla and you slap a gigantic pride sticker on it, that feels a little hypocritical, right? Like you're literally panning to somebody who just decided to be Trump's right-hand person here. We have to make sure that we are really, really doing the everyday things, right? And it's going to be harder. I think that we have a lesson to look at from 1930s Germany. I think that we have the ability to open our eyes because people have been through this before. They've seen a fascist regime and how that developed. And unfortunately, if we don't start speaking up for the right things, then the wrong things can take hold really easily. So I would encourage you to speak to your neighbors, to, when you're outside, you're gardening, you're watering your garden, you're mowing your grass, say hi. Just be kind to other people. Just be safe. You never know what they're going through in their life, and you might be the only person who made them feel safe that day. So I would say that allyship is simple, but it's hard. There's been a lot of times this week and over the last 4 years where I've told Natalie and I've told other people, I wish I would have stayed in my little white cishet bubble. I wish that I wouldn't have done this work. Because it's hard. And it's scary. And now I'm a target. My business is a target. My kids need to be safe, right? But it's easy to stay in our own little white cishet bubbles. And it's a hell of a lot harder to step out of it and say, I'm going to support you, even if you don't fit in my little bubble. I really want to, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do, but I really want to open it up to questions. What kind of questions do you guys have? What kind of things do you want to say that are on your heart that are like, how can we do better, right? I think that we know allyship is a big deal, but how do we do it? So what kinds of questions do you guys have? Excuse me.
Greg, can we get the hand up?
Excuse me, I'm
One
sorry.
of them, that's okay. One of the most important allyship actions that I think we could take if we're willing is to shovel some money Amanda's way. I had worked with Amanda some on trying to write some grants. We were never successful with it. This M-Care, they are just constantly needing money. Poor Amanda hasn't had a paycheck in years, seriously, and you know, with so few people, well, many people not having insurance and stuff, she often ends up treating people for free or for a very reduced rate, simply because she does care for them and does want them to be safe, but financially she can't really afford to do that. So one way we can give is individually, yes, but I think as a church too, we really need to talk about what we might be willing to do to send some money her way. Another thing is that she often needs volunteers for this and that. If you want to go and spend an hour cleaning out the back room where she has a clothes closet or a food pantry for people who come to M-Care and they don't have clothing, they don't have enough food. She gives them food and clothing from their pantry, but it's kind of a mess too. It's not anybody's job to keep it clean or to keep it organized. So if you want to spend a few hours here and there, a couple hours a week, I'm sure there's other stuff too that you could do to help at M-Care.
Yeah, for sure. So M-Care was about 2 years going whenever I was like, what in the world are we going to do to help all these people who can't afford to come here? So we started a 501c3 nonprofit, and our nonprofit arm, Affirmative Care Essentials, or ACE Foundation, does have a clothing closet and a food pantry. I am getting ready to set up a hygiene products drive as well, because we are almost out of hygiene products in our food pantry area. Every dollar as far as petty cash goes directly back to helping people to pay their bills. We call the pharmacy and pay for people's medications. We call the endocrinologist office and pay for their appointment or any of that. And if anybody so has the knowledge about nonprofits and wants to help me, I would take the help, because I'm just trying to do it all. And it's a lot sometimes.
Any other questions? I believe Amanda's also offered to stay for a little while afterwards for our post-conversation that we normally have. But any other questions before we wrap up?
So we are located downtown by the Old Riverside Hospital at 731 North McLean. Yep. We do.
A mobile service.
Yeah, we do-ish. My husband is supposed to be the one that does that at this point. We actually started M-Care to be a mobile house call company, but my husband is a nurse practitioner as well. He works in the ERs, and so it's just based on his availability.
Just two simple questions now, might have more later. What hours are you open? Do you have business cards?
Yeah, so we're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, and I had every intention of going to grab a bunch of RAC cards and business cards, but I did not. So I'll see what I have in my bag. I should have some in my bag, though.
And if not, if you want to bring some next weekend, we'll have them next weekend. Yep. And I think one thing to note, while Amanda right now in the office is, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, as she's getting more and growing, she's definitely grown. It used to be a one-room office, I think I would call it. She's added staff. They have therapists. They have, practitioners. They do phlebotomy there. So it's really an all-inclusive, almost all-inclusive. A few things that don't happen there, but she typically calls them in if she needs to, and is growing. So I think the one thing I would note is, the other thing is, it's not just for LGBTQ community folks. It's for everybody. And the staff there is amazing, and you're not taking away, because you're helping create the funds into the company to hire more, to add that ability to see more people.
Absolutely. when I say we do LGBT and allies, I mean, as long as you're not going to be a jerk to somebody else in the waiting room, then come on, right? Like, I think that, let's be honest, sometimes people may look different than you expect, or they may be dressed different than you expect, but that is not a reason to necessarily throw a side eye or a rude comment at them, and that happens in other offices. When I was practicing in OB-GYN, and I would have trans men in the office who then, were called back by the MA, maybe by Jessica or whatever, then, dead name Jessica gets up and is a full man walking into the office. It's pretty uncomfortable, right? So we do make sure that we talk to people about, the real basic stuff of making sure that we're respecting who somebody says they are, that we're using their name, that we're using their pronouns, that we are sharing ours, that we are continuing to just make those things normal so that people feel safe.
All right. Well, Amanda, thank you for coming today. We appreciate you sharing your company and allyship with us. We will continue this conversation after the service. In the meantime, I will turn it over to David.
So much. It's great to meet you. So we come to a time where we share prayers of the people and prayers that we bring us to church this morning, prayers of thanksgiving and prayers of intercession, and prayers for hope and prayers of lamenting.
Good morning, church. I just wanted to ask for prayers for my brother. He lives in Aurora, Colorado, and he sent me a picture, and I think they got a foot of snow. And it's like he told me, yesterday, that it's like he usually goes to the gym, but he said that he wasn't going to go to the gym. It's like yesterday because it's like he was going to get his workout doing that. So please keep him in mind.
Keep your brother in our prayers, and serious winter has come to Colorado and to some of the western states. So we pray for those who are facing the winter storms, spiritual and otherwise.
Just prayers of thanksgiving. I think, a couple of weeks ago I shared that my neighbor had the hip replacement and then fractured her femur. She is home. She got to come home yesterday. And she's got a village that we're all helping her because she lives alone, but she's doing remarkably well.
Oh, good. Well, we'll give thanks for that. Thank you. And do you want to give us an update?
There's not really much to say about our new little baby, except that he is growing and he has begun to, they've taken the feeding tube out so that he is drinking well enough that they think he can go on like this. We still do not know all the problems this little guy is going to have.
How old is he now? About a month.
So we keep him in our prayers. And you? Other prayers that people might have today? And let us share in the Lord's Prayer as we see it on the screen. Our Mother and Father, our beloved parent, in whom we live and move and have our being, may your glory shine forth in the glory of our diversity. May your peace, love, and justice, inclusion, and belonging reign here on earth as in heaven. May every person's needs be met and rights be respected and protected. May forgiveness open a path forward a new day. Lead us away from complacency in the face of injustice. Grant us the courage to stand up and to stand with the oppressed and marginalized. Let your love and justice be made manifest now and forever. Amen. As we come to share in the communion service today, I was thinking about, there's a phrase called boomerang, the boomerang effect. And it's It's a description about violence. And when violence is committed, there's a boomerang effect, and that it not only diminishes the victim of violence, but it also diminishes the humanity of the people who are engaged in violence. And then it becomes what biblical terminology is it hardens the heart. So I was thinking about that, preparing for communion, and it seemed to me when Jesus took the bread and broke it and blessed it, what he was saying to us was, we live in a world in which there's a boomerang effect. It's a broken world. It's a world in which there is violence. And violence does diminish our humanity and our ability to love one another. But the boomerang effect is not the last word. The final word is love, that binds us together, that brings healing, that gives hope, that creates community. And so we come to the table recognizing our brokenness, but also affirming our wholeness together, celebrating the power of love that is renewed through our own love for one another. So I invite us to come and to share in this table today. We use the process of intinction, taking the bread and dipping it in the cup. And then as we come forward, we're going to stand this way so that you can take communion and wave to the people on the internet and say hello to Marilyn and to all of our friends. before our dismissal and our closing hymn, Connie has a paragraph she wants to share with us. It's on. Oh. There you go. Here,
Can we get
use
it on?
this.
Is it on?
Connie, you can use
Let me
this.
just use this one. I just shared with David that the Council of Bishops for the United Methodist Church have written a letter, and it popped up on my Facebook page. It says, "We affirm the inherent dignity of all God's children. As our social principles remind us, God calls all members of the human family to recognize and protect the dignity and worth of all people. The lessons of history teach us the dangers of silence in the face of threats to human rights. Therefore, we cannot remain silent. We call upon all United Methodists to just a sec. My phone up. Okay, I love phones, but they do their own thing. Where'd it go? There. We call upon all United Methodists to share their faith and to pray, speak, and act for justice and peace. Our baptismal vows call us to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever forms they present themselves. We therefore reject rhetoric, policies, and actions that demean or discriminate against any of God's children, and will be vigilant in defending the rights of the vulnerable and speaking out against oppression." I would hope that the disciples of Christ would issue a similar letter.
So we have a closing hymn for going out.
Please stand as we sing Pass It On with our hymn for going out.
It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around get warm when it is glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread God's love to everyone you want to pass it on.
So go out with an open heart and a curious mind. Be kind to yourself and to others. Seek justice, love mercy, and walk gently on the earth. Shalom.
Shalom.